you have the little bit more understanding about educational system here. Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Anna, author of this channel about Germany and life here and study. Today we are gonna talk about study in Germany and particular universities and what do you need to know about German universities, because they are different than universities in maybe your country or any other country. As I have learned, German universities have some particular things which you as a foreigner and as a foreigner applicant really need to know before coming here or even before application to the German university. So German university is divided into universities and universities of applied science. It's called Fachhochschule. University is a Hochschule and Fachhochschule is University of Applied Science. In total, there are over 400 universities in Germany, and half of them are normal universities and half applied science. So this University of Applied Science, it's quite a special thing, especially for Germany and a couple of other European countries, such as Austria, Netherlands, Switzerland. I also study in University of Applied Science in Austria. So in this video, we are going to talk about these differences between university and University of Applied Science, which is the best for you, for your particular case. Also, universities in Germany divided into some particular institutions, such as University for Education, University for Art, Technical University, and Medical University. So, for example, if you want to study engineering, of course, there are technical universities which will suit you the best. But it's all, of course, relative. 216 University of Applied Science and 180 universities in Germany. With more than 2.8 million of students, of which of them 375,000 are international students actually. Some biggest universities in Germany are University in Munich, Ludwig Maximilian University with over 50,000 students, also Köln or Cologne University with 54,000 people, University of Aachen, 36,000 people. There are also university in Frankfurt and in Münster, they are quite big. So these cities are also student cities and they are really nice to study in. So German universities are not free, as some people claim. In Germany you need to pay a small amount of money, between 150 and 400 euro per semester. However, in region Baden-Württemberg you will need to pay a real semester fee, and it's around 1,500 euro per semester, and it's actually only for foreigners. In all other universities you pay the same amount as Germans are, but in Baden-Württemberg is an exception. The entry requirements are similar for all universities in Germany. You need to have a school leaving diploma which is equal to German one. In Germany they study in school around 12 to 13 years. In your country you might study fewer years or maybe more, so it's better than more. But when you study fewer years, for example 11 or 10, you need to also go to university in your country to be able to fill this gap, you know. But if you are not going to university in your country, you need to go to the special classes in Germany, to the special organization. It's called Studienkolleg. There you will take some classes which are related to the course you want to take at university, and in the end you will pass the exam. The length of the Studienkolleg is 1 year, sometimes half a year, and so you will just go every day just normal to the classes, and in the end you pass the exam, and this exam will be this equivalent to the German school leaving diploma. From my experience, Germany is only the one country who have this system. The Studienkolleg, they are very common in Germany. Almost all big student cities have one Studienkolleg where foreigners can do this kind of equalization to their school leaving diploma to the German one, and it's only for foreigners, for no one else. Like, Germans don't do this stuff. The other entry requirement is also proof of your German language, because most bachelor degrees are taught only in German, and masters you can find in English, yeah, but if you want to study bachelor in public university, you almost 100% needs to learn German in a very high level, at least level B2. Also better if it's like C1. So it's very high level because C2 is the maximum. You really need to speak really good German before coming to Germany to study. When talking about admission, universities usually don't have admission process like entrance exams, but in University of Applied Science, often you will find entrance exams, maybe few of them, so they can also kind of like see who's prepared already for studies and who is not, and based on these exams they will enroll you or not. To apply to German university, you can do it in two ways. Firstly, of course, through email, just a normal application email to direct to university, or through Uni Assist. It's a special platform where a foreign student can apply for universities. So it's a connection organization between university and you, and usually you also need to pay some fee for this organization in order they follow your documents to university. But not all universities in Germany have the partnership with Uni Assist, and so sometimes you just apply right to university per email. As a foreigner, if you're not from European Union, you will need to have also student visa, and it's also serious consideration because there are some particular requirements which are sometimes hard to meet. For example, you need to have in your banking account 10,000 euro. So also checked my other video about study in Germany, about requirements. I have a special video there. I talk about all requirements for study in Germany and for student visa. But if you are from Europe, of course, you don't have to have a visa. But also there are some exceptions for countries such as Brazil, El Salvador, Honduras, Monaco, Andorra, Taiwan, and San Marino. If you are a resident of these countries, you also don't have to have a visa. But if you want to work in Germany after your studies or work before your studies, you need to apply for a student visa as well. So this is the strict regulation there. The future students must apply for a student visa at least 3 months before traveling, because it can take time, and it also will take time for you to collect all necessary documents for Germany. When it comes to accommodation and campus in Germany, they don't practice such a thing. Usually people find that there are private accommodations outside of the campus, and they don't even have the accommodation on campus, usually, with some exceptions. So usually you just rent a room with other students in a shared apartment, or you have some dormitories which are offered by university, but they are not directly on campus. There are actually few universities who have dormitories. Usually you rent an apartment or you rent a room in an apartment. And in Germany, it's no such a thing like living in campus like in US. So if you really want this experience, living on campus with students, you should go to other country. So let's talk about differences between university and University of Applied Science, because there are many of them, and you need to be aware of this before you pick your university. So university is traditionally education where you can gather these academic degrees, for example, in medicine and psychology and law, really academic degrees. And University of Applied Science, as you can hear from the name, is something that can be applied right away. It's more hands-on professions, it's more less theoretical professions, more practical professions, which take on average 3 years to study, whereas when you study medicine, of course, in a university it takes 6 years. So University of Applied Science only offer 3 years programs, bachelor and then master, same like university, but they don't offer PhD. If you wanted to have PhD, you only go to university. The biggest difference, and then during your studies at university and in University of Applied Science, at first one you will study theoretical background mostly. There would be less practical experience, less practical knowledge, whereas in University of Applied Science you will study less theoretical background, maybe your first year, and then you will jump in practice, you will learn, maybe you will go to companies, experience something. You will also need to do an internship. In most programs it's obligated to make an internship in some company. You will also learn a lot from professors, because professors at University of Applied Science are different. University has professors with academic background. They mostly don't work in private companies. They are not coming from the industry. industry. They work mostly at university and often full-time at university. Whereas at the University of Applied Science, the professors are often also working part-time and their job and their main profession. For example, they are engineering teachers. They teach you mechanical engineering and they work as a mechanical engineer in some company, and they teach you as a part-time professor. So they will teach you really things which they learned and still keep doing at companies. The education in University of Applied Science, it's related to the real world, related to the real market, whereas education at university, it's more theoretical. It gives you more global knowledge, general knowledge, but not really the knowledge which you need today and tomorrow. So it all depends on your future plans and of course on your profession, because in University of Applied Science you can't study professions like medicine, law, and etc. These high theoretical professions. They just don't offer this because you can only study this theoretical way at university. University of Applied Science offer more professions like engineering, technology, also business, marketing, also nursing, which is really demanded in labor market. This doesn't require you to learn a lot of theoretical information. For example, as a business student, you learn a lot from businesses, but you don't have to learn about history of businesses in Germany. So history, for example, is not a subject you can study in University of Applied Science. When it comes to variety of courses, universities offer the biggest variety, the brightest variety, and as I mentioned, there are almost all degrees which you can find in education in Germany. As in University of Applied Science, there are only particular professions, particular degrees, and very practical orientated. So of course variety is bigger at universities. Both of them can be private and public, although there are a lot of private University of Applied Science because they're mostly new, whereas universities is established organizations, they were built many years ago, and they are often public. And in public universities and University of Applied Science, you need to pay a semester fee, which is quite high in Germany. Sometimes it can be around 6,000 euro per semester. When it comes to the staff at these organizations, as I mentioned, the staff at universities are mostly academic people. They work in the research and they just work as a professors full-time, whereas in University of Applied Science, they can also work as professors full-time, but often they work in some company. They have a special requirement. For example, if you want to work as a professor at University of Applied Science, you need to have already 3 years of experience in a business, in your particular field of expertise, whereas at university they don't have such requirements. And logically, universities are better for research. If you want to really do research in your life, be a scientist, you really need to pick a university. Although universities of applied science also have research departments, they also do research, but they do more research with the businesses, with the industry, like a cooperation. The biggest difference between university and University of Applied Science is flexibility for students. As a student at university, you can make your schedule, you can pick your courses. Basically, you create all your study program yourself, whereas at University of Applied Science, they make your schedule, they will pick your courses. You will have basically the same school system like you had in your school. You will come to the fixed schedule and do what they have said you. So if you want to have the flexibility of the student and the real student life, you should pick university. Because also university offers you extension for exams. You can basically say, I will pass the exam next year because I can't manage this year. Because university offers you a longer period of time to complete the studies. Usually you can do it 10 years. Whereas at University of Applied Science, you can't do this. Don't pass exam now, this semester, you have to leave. You have only 3 years to complete your bachelor and 1.5 or 2 years to complete the master. You can't study longer. So if you have doubt in your ability to complete the program right on time, better you pick university because you will have a longer period of time. You can stretch your studies till to 10 years. Then into University of Applied Science, you cannot do this. When it comes to the job opportunities, I would say University of Applied Science offer you more because you already know some practical things, you already have contact to employers. On the other hand, there are also a lot of companies which are cooperating with University of Applied Science. So also very regional focus. For example, University of Applied Science in Munich will cooperate with many companies in Munich or in Munich area. For example, then university, they don't have this regional focus as University of Applied Science do, and they also don't have so many connections, so they can just give their students away right after they have completed the program, or some students also work already during the program because they did the internships, and so during the internships you can already start working part-time during the studies and just get to know employers very well. On the other hand, universities are more prestigious in German eyes, in the eyes of the German employers, because there are some universities which have really good reputation. Then University of Applied Science, they're mostly smaller, they are not well known, and they also new. So if you want to have like prestigious degrees, so your employer will know about this, about the university and the background, you better pick like really good university than really good University of Applied Science. And which one to choose, would you ask yourself? Of course, clearly, if you want to have practical experience, hands-on experience, and you learn something about industries, about business, and not really theoretical subjects, you need to pick a University of Applied Science if you wish. And if you want to learn something theoretical, you want to have a real general understanding and more knowledge, you pick the university. University of Applied Science is also a good option for people who already worked in their industry, who want to just learn more about their industry and then work again. So it's very specialized. For example, you can pick some majors which are really related to some industry with, you know, some particular specialization. When in university it would be like more major, you know, you would pick like mechanical engineering. When in University of Applied Science you can already pick like mechanical engineering for automotive industry. So it's more related to the industries. And it's of course depends on your goals and your background. This was all today for our topic about universities in Germany. What do you need to know about our universities here and how to pick the right one, so you have the little bit more understanding about the educational system here. Check out my other videos about requirements, so you know which requirements you will face when you apply for studies in Germany. And don't forget to subscribe to this channel, and I will see you in the next video.